Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Lectorial number 2 of DEN203 IT Strategy and Management. I would like to start by wishing you a very happy Diwali. I hope you guys enjoyed it very much with your friends here in Australia and hopefully with us, consider us your extended family here in Australia. So happy Diwali to all of you who actually celebrate the feast and hope to actually see you in my class very, very soon. I just want to remind you guys that these recordings are good and everything, but the really benefit is that you guys need to be live in classroom to be able to speak to me. I'm actually going to be encouraging everybody to come live and stay live with the camera, and I'm recording everybody to try to ensure they're going to get a benefit when they're going to come to actually marking their work and their assignments. So please, I encourage you to come to the classes. Be live with the camera, take notes so that you can maximize your learning, and I will definitely make sure I take that into perspective when marking your work. So come to the class, engage in all of these activities that are in the student forums available, and please make sure you work hard throughout the course. Now, this is the details for the teaching team. In case there's anything you need from us, we'll be always very happy to help you. All what you can do really is just make contact with us, and then we'll be happy to guide you. And obviously there's me and there's 2 other people who actually teach the subject. So if you are in Dr. Haviz's class on Friday, his consultation is straight after the lecture the webinar between 11 and 11:30. And Yang Kong Rai, his class is on Wednesday. So his consultation is between 2 and 2:30. And if you talk about me, which is my class is on Thursday, my consultation is between 11 and 11:30 a.m. These are all our contact phone numbers, so please make sure you make contact with us. If you need any assistance, we are always very, very happy to support you. Just a quick disclaimer about the copyright. This information shouldn't be copied. Please make sure you understand the warning. You cannot reproduce and communicate that information on behalf of us. You cannot go and use it, share it anywhere. Please make sure don't do that. Today, I'm going to go through the recap of the previous webinar. I'm going to talk about the topic 2, which is, today's chapter, and the learning objectives. And we're going to talk about the work you need to do before the midweek webinar. Now, last week, we started speaking about information system, information technology, and digital. Now, I told you information technology is really about the technology we go and use to be able to go and get the work done in an organization. IS, on the other hand, is really about the how do we actually use information technology to be able to go and get things done. And nowadays, we talk a lot about the digital environments in which we operate. So this information system and information technology are nowadays very much available in a digital form and working for various organizations to go and get the job done. We spoke about the digital disruption, how it's impacting on information system and information technology. Things are changing. How we used to operate is changing. A government organization who used to be very happy to operate everything manually on paper is now very much changing how they operate to be able to ensure they're going to change with a quick environment. They want to make sure they are more efficient, and that's really available through the use of information technology as well as information systems. We spoke about the classification of the strategic uses of IS and IT last week. For example, how we are using it to be able to create integration between various systems, how we are using it to be able to go and do virtual reality and try to evaluate things that we haven't implemented so far in our organizations. We also spoke about the classification of the strategic, we spoke about the 3-era model of evolving IT applications in organization. We spoke about how we used to use IT in information processing, data processing if you want, and how we then use it to management information system, which is enabling managers to make decisions. And then finally, we move to strategic information system, where the system basically evolve into their use and their benefits in organizations. We spoke about many success factors in strategic information systems. Specifically, we talked about how do we actually go and make sure we think externally about what's happening all around us? How do we share the benefits with all the people who operate with us, suppliers, customers, and so on? It's really all of these success factors in strategic information system. We mentioned a portfolio. management perspective on information system and IT investments. When I spoke about a portfolio, it's not every system and every work we do is going to be strategic work. There are actually works we do which is not based on strategy. There are, for example, systems that we've had in the organization for way too long, and we need them to be able to potentially continue operate our business the way it's operating today. A lot of times this is what we call legacy systems that eventually you'll basically move out of, but you can't stop supporting them before you're basically ready to start supporting them. We spoke about what is an IS and IT and digital strategy. We spoke specifically about, IS strategy is more about, understanding what the business need, and IT investment is more about the IT giving us exactly what the actual system really needs. So one is about understanding what we need and going and basing our need based on what the business is saying. And the other one is more based on thinking about how can information technology really go and help us get exactly what we need. We spoke about strategic alignment to strategic evolution. And what is that? Well, when you go and initiate a strategy, initially you initiate it because you find a great technology out there and you create a great opportunity that is out there. And you go and say, okay, based on this opportunity, I'm going to now go and start working on implementing things in practice. So you go and work according to this way. Now works fine. But then what you need to also bear in mind is sometimes you go and because of your business strategy, you go and buy technology and buy an information system. But then eventually you find out that you've invested into this information system in IT, which you can also use it to operate in a totally different area. So you find that, yes, the business strategy told you what sort of IS and IT to use, but then the IT and IS that you've developed also helps you shape your strategy because you find that using the same IS and IT, you can be very successful in another area. So this IS and IT that you already have bought because of your business strategy could again help further develop your own strategy to get the job done. We spoke about the digital strategies for the 21st century, how we're going to need to build a dynamic capability to leverage IS and IT. This includes, for example, looking externally how the environment is changing to be able to go and leverage and further develop your IT environment. Today, guys, I'm going to talk about the evolving nature of strategic management in organization, the scope of strategy development. We can talk about a framework for strategy formulation. We can talk about where do we compete, how do we gain a competitive advantage, what assets do we have and what assets do we need, how do we change the need really for dynamic capabilities, and how do we implement strategy in organizations. Now, if you want models, there are models available out there to be able to kind of describe the evolution of strategy and strategic plannings in organizations. One of those models is by Gluck and his colleagues. And what they've said, well, early on, people who've had phase one strategy, then they moved to phase two strategy, phase two, and then phase three, and then phase four. Now, the phase one strategy are people who make decisions based on really short-term results, like 1 year planning. They don't really think long-term. Phase two is more people who actually think a bit more long-term, thinks about budget that goes more than 1 year, and thinks about the need over more than 1 year. But their resources in that environment in phase two is always kind of static. It doesn't change. Phase three say, well, you know what? We need to keep on changing. We need to keep on developing. So things also multi-years, but see how things keep on changing all around us, what products are available, what availabilities, what opportunities are available. And what happens from there is we go and actually develop, further how we go and actually get things done. So we have if you want, the resources are not static, the resources keep on changing. And because the resources do change, we are able to go and really, change according to those requirements that are available at this. So we change our availability in what we deliver according to what's happening with the business around us. And we use the resources that are available to help us to go and make all of these changes. Finally, we go and actually talk about, the phase 4 approach, and that phase 4 approach is more about let's really be strategic about how we do things. Let's really keep on changing things. Let's have very flexible resources to meet the changing needs, and really think strategically, fix the process, fix the investment, do everything you need to do from that perspective. Now, during the time such as early 1990s and late 2000s, and even when there's a recession, many organizations stop investing in their resources, like stop investing in IS the way that they should do. I remember I used to work for a company called Toys R Us, and what they've done at that time is we had all the plan ready to go and make very automated developments into the organization, very new systems, get everything to go and be delivered. But the mistake that is as soon as the global financial crisis hit, the investments all stopped. And this can't happen in an organization that want to be competitive. Like, you think about that company, you think about they used to be live and they used to be in the market, and now they are no longer actually live, and they lost their market share. They're out of business, basically. They close all their shops in Australia, overseas, in the United Arab Emirates, everywhere, Singapore and so on. When we think about this strategic thinking and planning, the concept of strategy and planning are frequently used to be the same. But strategy and planning are not the same thing. Strategy is what do we want to achieve long term. Planning is how do we want to get there. So they're definitely not the same. And we cannot really see the end, which is a strategy implementation, from the beginning by doing a plan. Like, you need to really get down to implementing things and see how things are changing all around you. You need to ask yourself this question: do we develop a corporate strategy or departmental strategy, and why? Well, you need to think about the businesses. It depends on a business. Like, a small business might simply go and have their business unit and functional strategy. Another business might have no more a corporate strategy, a business unit and functional strategy. For example, a big company like Wesfarmers, they own so many companies. They own Kmart, they own Bunnings, they own Coles. You can't make one corporate plan and don't worry about making a plan for Maya, a plan for Coles, a plan for Bunnings, because these places need to be managed differently. And in each of these businesses, Maya, there's a marketing, there's HR, there's operation. You cannot say, no, we're going to go and basically simply manage it based on a business strategy. What do we need to do in our department? That's our strategy there. So we need to think about companies, how they might be formed of multiple businesses in an organization. In Germany's ThyssenKrupp, many businesses, materials, component technologies, elevators, steel, automotive. You can't have just one strategy to match for everybody. You need to have a framework to be able to go and develop a strategy in an organization. So when I talk about a framework, the framework really is about answering a number of questions. Where do we compete? How do we win? Where do we compete? What assets do we have to be able to compete and win? What assets do we need to be able to compete and win? And how do we change our business to successfully go and compete and win? And in your student forum, there is a question that I'm asking you there today that you need to go and answer, which is really about where do we compete, how do we change, and how do we gain a competitive advantage. So I want you to go and look at that and not simply answer that question by itself, but also answer it by referring to what is actually available in the Where to Compete slide, which is a 5 forces model of Sean Iffy of Porter. Porter is very, very famous professor at Harvard Business School. So I want you to go and think about that question earlier in the perspective of thinking about these factors. There are new entrants, threat that might actually influence where we compete. The buyers might have a lot of power in some areas that influence where we compete. The sellers or the suppliers might have, again, a lot of power against you that will influence whether you're going to compete in that area or not. In that place where you operate, there might be a lot of other products and services that might be competing against you. And you would say, why am I going to compete in a place which There's a lot of people there. It's going to make my job harder. You also think about the pestle analysis, political, environmental, social, all of these, things, environmental, legal, and so on. You need to analyze the environment and see how things are changing to decide where do you want to compete. Now, how do we win? How do we win? Well, people win differently. Some people go and create a strategy of low-cost operation. Some people create a strategy based on we want to be different than everybody around us. So that's a differentiation strategy. Some people want to go and create a niche, very small focus and focus on that area. And that's how they're going to go and win. So companies do win differently. And there are many other strategies. Some people compete based on quickness. Some people compete based on innovation. There's other areas to really consider. How can we really understand the value of the firm's existing products and services? There are tools and techniques available there. There's, for example, the Boston Consulting Group Matrix. What that matrix really talks about says, okay, let's look at how much market share do we have and how much money are we generating. And let's also look about how much market growth can we achieve and how much money can we use to achieve that growth. When I talk about the share market, you might have a very high share market. You might be generating a lot of money. You might use that money to be able to go and get more market, to be able to get more outcomes. So that's cash used to get more market share. But you have some products such as the dog products, they have low share market. They're not giving you enough money. So you would usually pick up money from these products that are giving you money, putting it on this product that doesn't give you money. But you have to get to a stage where you stop. You can't keep on doing it. You get to a stage where you say, you know what? If I'm not going to go and start generating profit, we're going to have to go and start considering what do we do from there. But there are all of these various products. Cash cows, star, wildcat or problem child, and dog products, which we'll talk about in more depth next week. This is one matrix that tells you how do you gain a competitive advantage, but there are more. There's the NSOF matrix, which tells you about how do you increase your customers, which is really relating a lot of time to how do you increase the products that are available in the market. There's a customer matrix that tells you, okay, how the client perceive the price, and compared from that price they're paying, how much value do they perceive they're getting. You pay $400, the value you expect is not going to be the same than when you pay $200. So the perceived value to perceive the price that you pay. Other things to consider when considering how do you gain an advantage, it's the business model example. What is my model? What value am I going to give to the client? Based on your value, you have to basically decide on the cost structure and the revenue stream. Hilti, for example, they moved into an area where we can rent the client some tools. Okay, well, if you're going to rent them, you're going to have to earn the assets. You're going to have the resources to be able to get the assets to be delivered where they should be. You have to build relationship with a lot of clients. You have to go and sell in more than one channel. So it's really links. This is a business model. What's your value? And then how are you going to manage your cost structure and the revenue stream to get these goals to be delivered? What assets do we have and what assets do we need? Well, the resource-based view say we need different assets, valuable, rare, inimitable, non-substitutable, specific assets you need that they will help you to and develop your business. What assets you need is also dependent on what are you trying to achieve. Am I trying to compete based on operational excellence and best value for money, which means I have to create a lot of efficient resources and processes and so on? Am I going to compete based on product or service leadership? I need to have the best product, best services, and experience by changing my design, my features, my function, my style, my image, how I'm viewed. Am I going to go and create a customer intimacy where I develop best total and unique solutions to the client? What do the clients exactly really need? Now we have to be dynamic. The environment is changing. Everything is changing around us. We need to change accordingly. There are a wide variety of successive dynamic capabilities. I should be able to develop new products and services. I should be able to go and develop knowledge. I should be able to go and look at the demand and what the client needs and give them what they want. I should be able to go and get resources from more than one place, more than one company. I might buy another business. I should be able to go and integrate them together to further develop my business and get the outcomes that are needed. There are many more dynamic capabilities, but I'm just mentioning a few of them just here. Then after we have everything, we know where we're going to compete, we know what resources we need, we get the resources, we want to implement the strategy. Now, we have an intended strategy, what we plan to deliver. But some of this strategy might not work because we might fail in implementing it. This becomes an unrealized strategy. Some strategy, however, we plan and we deliver. That's realized strategy. And as we are traveling on that road of implementing the strategy, we find some government change that impose changes on us. We find new opportunities that we did not consider with our strategy. We find many constraints or options that are all around us. All of these will go and shape our strategy. So then we have a new realized strategy, not simply what we intended, but what we've achieved by incorporating how the environment is changing and how sometimes what we plan to deliver won't get delivered. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very, very caring about you and very supportive. Anybody who would like to go and make contact, you can make contact with me. And also if you are in the other webinars, which is on Wednesday or Thursday, you can also contact your corresponding lecturers who are very, very happy to help you. As a coordinator, if there's any problem you guys are experiencing, you can make contact with me. I'll be very happy to try to help you. I care about you. I care about your learning, your success. Please come every week to my classroom. Be present, be attentive, because I want you to be the best you could be. I want you to get a great IT career. Same as I came in this country as a student studying IT, got my permanent residency and stayed in this country and developed a future. I would really hope for the same for you. But that's going to be very hard if you guys are not going to come to the classrooms and engaging. And I want to remind you that if you have a good GPA and get good marks, we actually have scholarships that are available as a STC that you will benefit from. But you need to be coming and studying hard every week to get the right outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much for your time. I really enjoy having you in my class, guys. If you need anything, please let me know.